My name is Sam and I'm a mother to 3 kids. My eldest daughter is 8 years old and I have 2 younger sons. The interesting thing about my younger son was that when I gave birth to him, I almost died. So we were preparing for the operation and everything. As you know, with risky operations like this, they will come and tell you, what are the risks involved and so on. So what I actually had was a placenta previa, which is low-lying placenta. And for me is a complete placenta previa, and meaning the placenta has covered my entire cervix. There is complication that could arise from this condition and during the surgery, which is called placenta accreta, which means that the placenta is infused very deeply in the womb in such a way that it's going to be very difficult to remove the placenta during the operation. So the gynae was talking to myself and my husband that, this is very rare, it rarely happens, but it's just something that we need to let you know that, it might occur. And if that, really happens, then we might need to remove the womb. But then the gynae was still telling us that this is a very uncommon case and it shouldn't happen and so on. Yeah, so we were preparing for the surgery and everything, and it was discussed that I would undergo partial anesthesia, so I would still be awake during the operation, just that from the lower body down, I'll not feel a thing. But once that was good to go, the operation started, and I could feel the doctors, pulling and tugging and all the sounds of the medical instruments and everything, and lying on the table, I didn't know what was going on because I couldn't see a thing, and my husband was not allowed in the room with me. And then the next thing I know, I was waking up from the operation, and when I woke up, I was like, what's going on, like what went on? My husband was next to me in the ward, and he was like, hey dear, are you okay? How are you feeling? I said, I had no idea what went on. I asked him, like, what happened, where's the baby? I didn't know whether the baby was alive or not alive or anything. I had no idea. Yeah, so apparently then my husband told me that halfway during the operation, the gynae came out of the operating theatre and went to him and told him that I had lost a lot of blood, apparently about 5 liters of blood, so they had to do a blood transfusion for me. But at the same time, just now when I mentioned about placenta accreta, that really happened. So they had problems removing the placenta from my womb, and so they came out to let my husband know that because my blood pressure crashed and I lost so much blood, they had to do the blood transfusion, and they had to ask for permission again from my husband to whether they can remove my womb. That means I basically can't keep my womb, and if not, I would very much likely die. So of course my husband said yes, and you go ahead and do whatever is needed. So yeah, so they went back and they took out my womb and my cervix as well. Thankfully the baby was delivered and he was doing okay. And yeah, so when I woke up, that was what my husband told me. I was like, wow, that really happened. It was very shocking that what was considered rare really happened to me. So I was discharged from the hospital 5 days later, but my son had to stay in the hospital for another about I would say about 2 weeks. Back then we didn't know like exactly how long, but he stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks, and during this time I still had to go back and forth every day from home to the hospital to see him, to take care of him, spend time with him, and also to breastfeed. So that was also a difficult time for us, to saying, and hoping and praying hard that he will quickly gain weight and be able to be discharged from the hospital soon. But I'm very glad that everything worked out in the end, and he's turning 2 next month. I did our visits to the doctors, and he's meeting all his milestones. He's talking pretty well now. He's very talkative and very active boy. Yeah, we're really happy and thankful that he's with us and everything turned out well. Okay, so my advice to all moms who might be going through the same thing as me, I think the most important thing is to listen to your gynae's advice. I think back then, when my gynae asked me to have complete bed rest, I didn't heed her advice totally, and I was still walking around and moving around at home. So I kind of think that, and feel a little bit guilty that might have been the cause of what I had to go through. So definitely, mummies, do heed your gynae's advice and to have bed rest and just rest as much as possible, and get someone else, your husband or your mother-in-law and whoever, to just do everything else for you, and just rest, because at the end of the day, the baby is the most important.